So there's been a battle unfolding in Nigeria between the ATM and the mobile POS. It's been quite interesting. Over the past few weeks, there's been a lot of drama on Twitter, on social media, news channel, news outlets. Even the CBN put out some news regarding banks and ATMs and all of that. So what's the news? What's the battle? What's been happening? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. This is another series of Software Engineer Explains with Neurocodes, and let's get right into it. Okay, so starting off, first off, what's an ATM? Is an automated teller machine. So basically you have your card, your debit card, credit card, you put in this machine and it gives you some cash, or you could, do a transfer, check your account balance, just some little things that you don't need to enter the bank. On the other hand, what's a mobile POS? So a mobile POS is simply an agent with a mobile point of sale system that you could also insert your debit card or credit card, but in this instance the agent is going to give you your cash and not the machine just debits you like a normal, you're buying something from a supermarket and it debits you like that. So we're going to talk about the upsides and the downsides in both cases. So the drama that unfolded, I think I'll just share the cause of the issue that started the drama. What's that? Okay, so this tweet kind of like captures the essence of the fight or essence of the issue that started the drama. As you can see, so of what purpose is many ATM machines without cash? So what happened was people went to the banks that have ATM machines in front of like the banks, and there was no cash. And in this particular instance, there was now a mobile POS agent right in front of the bank that had cash. Yeah, and then for the person to withdraw from the mobile POS person, there are some charges, the POS charges. We'll talk about that much later in the video. And then the person came to Twitter to basically just express what happened. And I was in a similar situation this Christmas period. I was in an Uber. My phone was about to die before I got to my destination. So I told the driver, let's stop at a bank and I'll stop by the ATM and use the ATM. So I'll just get the cash so I can give him the cash. And I went to the main headquarters of the bank within that area, and they have like 6 ATM machines and none of them was working. Like they were working but they didn't have cash. So when we came down from the vehicle, as I was just approaching, the security was just shaking his head and saying no cash, no cash. I was like, wow. And this was pretty much my bank, like my ATM card and the bank was like the same thing. So I went specifically to my bank and they didn't have cash. That was quite surprising. So it's actually a legit thing that's been happening, and it's something that definitely we do need to talk about, we need to address, and we'll take this from different points of view. So the ATM, for example, is supposed to be operational 24/7. So meaning that even when the banks are closed, because banks close around 5 p.m. So they're open from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And if you miss up that window, it means that before the ATMs, you couldn't withdraw your cash before, the rise of digital apps and all of that stuff. So, you're stuck. So the banking halls were always full. If you don't get to the bank before 5 p.m., you have to wait till the next day before you can get any cash. So the ATM came and pretty much just made getting your cash a lot easier. But before you knew it, there were lots of queues at the ATM. So even if you come after the banking hours, you could still get your cash. It's fast. You get your mint, not necessarily mint notes. You put your card in, you get your amount. And what then happened was, the first controversial thing that happened was that if you're not withdrawing from a bank that is your bank, you're using a different bank's card with another ATM. After I think the third withdrawal, you get charged like 100 naira or something like that for using that ATM. So there was that was the first thing that started getting people to ensure that they go to that bank specific ATM to withdraw, just so that they don't get those charges and all of that stuff. And then the fact that your bank, the ATM can swallow your card, and if the ATM swallows your card, it happens like at the worst time when you actually need the cash. It swallows your card before giving you. This is a very sad situation. You have to go into the bank, complain, try to get your card back and all of that stuff. So there was a lot of issues around just the operation of the ATMs, then the fact that sometimes it runs out of cash, and before, the whole process of loading the ATM with cash was a whole ceremony, pretty much. It took a lot of time. And then in remote areas, obviously, you can't have 24/7 ATMs, because to run an ATM, you need power. It's a computer that is running 24/7 and has to have cash. So imagine a remote area where the bank is not so familiar. You need to carry cash from the bank to the ATM. So there's also a risk factor there as well. So here comes the mobile POS, which is also a disruption to the ATM. So the ATM was a disruption to the normal walking into the bank to get cash. And now the mobile POS is disrupting the ATM, So what's the mobile POS? So basically you have an agent. An agent could be anybody. Anybody could start, register at the bank or register your business, and you could start get the machine, and you could start the POS business. You could be an agent and all of that. So what happens is that you get a small device. I think it's getting to a point where we're going to see some more innovations around that, but you get a small device that's pretty much like an Android phone that can read a card. Let me just put it can read your card and charge your card, so you can withdraw, you can transfer, just the basic operations a ATM machine can do, but you can do it in a smaller form factor. So how this works is that the agent has some cash. I think some of the advantages that I've seen is that in certain markets, so let's say you go to a dominant market now, for example, marketplace, Agile Market, now 12, all the rest. These are sellers. These sellers on a normal day would sell products, like sell their market and everything, and they have the cash with them, and they're going to leave the market to that place or to their home with that cash. But the difference now is that there are now mobile POS agents in those markets, and most of the times what has happened is that those sellers in the market just go to the POS agents, give them the cash, like they deposit, and it gets credited to their bank account, so they don't have to move around with cash, which is less risk for them, and they can do online transactions as well. So that's like one of the benefits that we've seen. But just the fact that if you look at the use case of the ATM now, when you're trying to set up an ATM in a remote area, the risk factor, the chances are for the mobile POS is that it's someone that lives in that remote area that is starting that POS business. So the person is already familiar with that remote area, and then the people who are patronizing him are also people within that remote area. So that risk factor is not as much, and you don't have to, run a computer for 24/7. However, whatever resources it may take to do that, it's just it's as simple as, the airtime for data and all of that stuff. It's simply like just owning a mobile phone, and as long as you have a generator powered for, a few hours a day, you can keep it charged and keep your business running. That's just bringing banking to the people in remote areas and all of that stuff. To circle back to the issue on ground, even in cities where banks are supposed to be operational, the banks are open from 8 to 5 p.m. The bank is open, and the ATM machine is within that bank, like it is right at the bank. Those ATMs are not working. Why should that be the case? And that is where Nigerians are pretty much frustrated about. Like, I should be able to go to my bank and then withdraw. And then, people are coming up with different theories. So this was an interesting tweet I saw. It is basically asking the question, when last did you withdraw money from the bank ATM? So I went down through the tweets. Someone said can't even remember again, more than 3 years, can't remember, or 2018. So I can't even say because this renewed Chege a bit person. This one is economic challenge, not necessarily. Okay, so there's someone that says yesterday morning, this person says July, maybe 2022, yeah. But the truth of the matter is, over myself, I hadn't had the need to go to the ATM or go to the bank to withdraw, because there's a mobile POS person just at the bus stop, just outside the gate. I just come out, I see the POS person, I get the cash that I need. I don't move around with so much cash. Usually it's just like 5k, 10k, get what I want to get, and I'm back home. I haven't had the need to go to an ATM, so I hadn't faced any challenge with the ATM. But the one time that I did, which was during Christmas period and the ATM didn't have cash, that was surprising. So I think one of the major things that I feel needs to be discussed is how much of a problem this actually is. Is it that we are not accepting the change? Is this the right kind of change, or what is our main issue with this, technically? So first off, is it the charges the POS people or the mobile POS people charge? Because they charge you like 205,000 or something ridiculous. So if you want to withdraw like 50k, you're going to be paying like 2k in charges. So first off, let's break that down. So why do POS people charge? People say like, I can't be paying for my money. Is this basically selling the naira? Like POS agents guilty of selling naira? That's a question. I think what happened during the period where we went through like a currency or a note change from the old naira note was scarce. That was a time where, I could agree that these agents were taking full advantage of this, where they were selling the new naira notes for a ridiculous amount of money. You're basically paying, a lot of money for new naira notes with old naira notes, which did not make sense because now they're both still legal tender. So that's the first question. Is it something that should happen? The CBN isn't saying anything about this specifically, but what the CBN is saying is pretty much targeted at the banks. So CBN urges bank customers to report bank without cash in ATMs. But who is going to do this? And this news is kind of like, where is the link to exactly? This person said to who? You? Like, where's the link to, we need more information. Who are we reporting this to? So the person that did this tweet needs to do a lot better. I think there's another one in some other, Twitter handles that share stuff. So first off, what's the cost of running an ATM? As you know, like I said before in the video, an ATM is a computer, and a computer needs to be powered with power. It's not a laptop. Your laptop can run 24 hours, and this is pretty much a machine that is bigger than a laptop. It actually needs power. So for every ATM that a bank has, that's running cost. Like actual running cost. You need to budget for the ATMs that you have and know how, and pretty much plan for the resources that you need to run these ATMs. But if there is now an alternative to ATMs where the banks no longer have to budget for this, do you think, as a bank owner, now put yourself in the shoes of a bank owner, do you think you would want to continue, running these ATMs? And then if the usage, like if you've seen the trends and you see that people are coming less and less to the ATMs or using the ATM less like they used to, would you still keep on running it? That's the question. The ATM also had charges for external cards that are using it. If the cost for that is no longer like bringing any source of revenue, is it something you'll keep on doing? So that's a question, but that is clearly something that has happened over the years. The usage of the ATMs, I wish I could have some data to, back this up, but I don't. It's just based on, Twitter threads and all of that, but hopefully some factual data comes out soon. But this video is just about us discussing, some of these thought processes. So, and then the mobile POS, I think the major challenge people have with it is the charges. But how I look at it is that this is a service. It saves you the stress of going to the ATM. It saves you the stress of a POS machine cannot swallow your card, so you're never going to lose your card because of an ATM, all of that. So just the charges. So some of the times where the charges have like taken me by surprise, I always just comfort myself to say, okay, how much is transport money to go to the nearest ATM? And if that ATM was not working, the transfer money to go to the next ATM that, is working. And then I say, okay, no problem, I'm going to pay this. But there are some times where the charges would just, get me by surprise, and I just like, wow, don't worry, I don't need the cash that much, and I just walk away. So, but if the charges are solved, if there is some extra regulations, because I know some regulations came out to prevent POS vendors from going above a certain charge. So I don't know if there's more regulation around that and certain limitations, but I think the POS is definitely here to stay because of how much it helps the economy get banked. If you really want to see like the value of POS, go to a market. Like go to an actual market like a jam market, Mile 12, or the rest, you see that it's not necessarily just about the withdrawal, because that's where most people interact with it. Let's just withdraw. But for a lot of people, depositing the money, sending money back home, sending money to somebody, there are lots of market women, just people within the market that use these POS businesses or that need it just because of the efficiency and all of that stuff. Is definitely here to stay, but what we just have to look out for is more regulation around the charges going forward. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts. Are you for ATMs coming back? Are you for the POS staying? Are you against the charges? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's talk about it. But just thinking about it, why can a bank not just have their own POS agent now that POS is the main thing? Like have a bank section that is now a person that has cash instead of going to the bank to, well, those are some thoughts. I don't know if some banks are doing that currently, but would that solve the issue? Is that like a thing that, so at the very least, there'll be cash in the bank via POS, not just the ATM. But definitely if I was a bank, I'll stop the ATMs. Like if I was the owner of a bank, I would say like no more ATMs. Yeah, it's no longer in our budget. We're not budgeting. It's like when they remove subsidy, that's the subsidy for banks. We're removing this, So yeah, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, and stay subscribed to hear more about some of the tech news that are coming and to get a different perspective and a different conversation about it. So be sure to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.